Most of the headlines from the weekend have to do with El Salvador and Bitcoin, Tether, the Fed, and their balance sheet, and a Bank of International Settlements report detailing the need for central bank digital currencies. But what's more interesting is the underlining thread, starting with the Bank of International Settlements, and how this push towards CBDCs is actually part of something deeper than the entire financial system itself. Welcome back to another episode of your Digit Hustle News. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very special video. Now, I will warn you, the information in this video, the evidence that I'm about to show you, and then the context that I'm about to show you, it's not going to be for everybody. Okay? So, if you clicked on this video expecting to hear news about a specific cryptocurrency, that's not necessarily what you're going to get. But what I can promise you, is that you'll leave this video with a greater overall perspective of where we are headed. Okay? I'm going to start this video with a headline. On June 21st, 2021, the dates, they're going to be very important, okay? Summer solstice turning point as military industrial complex takes on medical industrial complex. Fundamental change has taken place at the highest levels of power on or around June 21st, 2021. The world's military intelligence agencies have decided to treat the ongoing global situation as an act of war and react accordingly. Now, that's as far as I'm going to give you from this particular article. Of course, I'm going to put a link down to it in the description. But this occurred June 21st, 2021. Now, next I'm going to take you to June 23rd. Okay, a couple days later. Central bank digital currencies get full backing from the Bank of International Settlements. Okay. Courtesy of Reuters, the Bank of International Settlements is giving its full backing to the deployment of central bank digital currencies, saying that they are needed to modernize finance and ensure big tech does not take control of money. Dubbed central bank to the world's central banks, the Bank of International Settlements, which is coordinating many of their discussions on digital currencies, set out recommendations on Wednesday on how a CBD, such as a digital euro, yen, or yuan, should look. So, for those who don't know, the Bank of International Settlements is essentially the bank, the biggest bank of all the banks. Okay? That means that they control quite a lot of money. So, when they set a mandate, at least 56 countries, as stated in the article, are going to follow suit. They have massive influence. But one thing I have noticed is that not all of these countries are following suit, starting with Israel. Now, this was also posted June 21st, but this is all occurring within the span of a week, guys. So bear with me as I give this to you. This information is heavy, especially once we get towards the end. Okay, so you may not have known yet, but it was in the news that Israel was testing their digital dollar using Ethereum. But a couple days prior, this was released from the Jerusalem Post, stating that Israel has already tested a digital shekel before. Now, what's interesting about this is that the deputy governor, Andrew Abir, from the Bank of Israel, which is the central bank, that's going to be another reoccurring thing, guys, perhaps inadvertently at a recent conference, alluded to the fact that they have been already using a digital shekel, essentially running tests for it. He says, towards the end of a panel discussion, Abir said the Bank of Israel had already run a digital currency pilot. Another member of the panel seemed surprised and asked, "You already issued a coin?" Abir responded in the affirmative. However, Abir said he was not optimistic that such a digital bank currency would ever be launched. I had previously estimated that the chance of having a CBDC within 5 years is about 20%, he said. My estimate has increased a bit in the last year, mainly because other countries are advancing with it too, but there is still less than a 50% chance. Okay. This is coming directly from Deputy Governor from the Bank Israel. Now, where I'm going to take you next, we're going to go to Switzerland, because the next story to come out, Swiss National Bank has no plans for a digital currency. Okay. Now, the Swiss have been testing a digital currency for quite some time. This was released June 26th. Okay. Now, Swiss National Bank is not planning to introduce a central bank digital currency. At press conference hosted by Swiss Bankers Association, the SNB's chief economist Carlos Linz announced that there was no need for a digital franc because the current payment system works well without one. Linz also criticized blockchain technology, calling it very inefficient, and I don't think a decentralized solution is ideal. Switzerland has been researching central bank digital currency since at least 2019, when the Swiss parliament asked the government to examine the potential of creating a CBDC. Now, that information is known. Okay. Next, I'm going to take you to Singapore. Singapore's central bank and the IMF launched a global challenge for CBDC solutions. Now, this actually came out this morning. Okay. Monetary Authority of Singapore has teamed up with the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and others to launch a competitions where entrants must tackle 12 unresolved challenges posed to central bank digital currencies. Okay. This competition, another key piece of information, will be supported by Amazon Web Services, MasterCard's payments platform Partior, and blockchain software developer R3 and blockchain project Hyperledger. Okay, so now I've given you the timeline for the week. And at the beginning of the video, I showed you how on the 21st, during the summer solstice, that the military industrial complex had turned on the medical industrial complex. So naturally, that makes you wonder, well, what does that have to do with central bank digital currencies or the Bank of International Settlements? Here, I'm going to take you back to that headline. Okay. I'm going to bring you down into the article. Get down to the article, and I'm going to read a sentence from here, and then I have another document where I'm going to read a sentence from, and then it's all going to come together. So, David Rockefeller Jr. inherited not only control of the medical associations from his father, but also control of much of the so-called G7 power structure, including most of the Fortune 500 corporations. This is what they refer to as the Rockefeller rules-based world power. Now, the second quote, to answer the question as to how this all ties back to the Bank of International Settlements, the first president of the Bank for International Settlements was Rockefeller banker Gates Magara, an official at Chase Manhattan. So we tie it all back to the beginning. Let's take us back to the beginning of the week. 21st, exactly 7 days ago. Okay. Now, this video may come out way later than my usual videos, but I think by now you'll see that, why it took a little bit longer, because I really wanted to give you guys this picture. Okay. What's in the remaining information can be found within this audio clip here, which I will put a link down to, but I won't play. But I will read another piece to you that will solidify just a little bit more as to what exactly is going on. Now, why did I bring up his name? Well, essentially, and we'll just refer to it as the global situation, but certain military organizations have come to the conclusion, reached a consensus, and they know that this current situation is in, quote, a scam, a lie, and a money-making con. Civilians who conducted an undeclared act of war have now well been truly found out. That allows us with military legal to actually deal with these people. Now, who are those people? Well, they name a group called the Octagon Group, which is based out of Switzerland. And the head of this group, well, as we can see here, is Mr. Rockefeller himself. Okay? Now, as you can see in the picture, the nationality of the ladies that he is standing with. Now, this is not a racial thing, but I take you back to this headline. Okay. And then we go back here, and then you start to see what I'm getting at. Now, the rest of this information in this document, okay, which I highly urge you guys to read, will highlight the relationships between the Rockefellers and the Asians, and Chinese, and Japanese, and nations all throughout the world. They're very heavily influenced. Okay, but the purpose of me making this video was to highlight something that is going on behind the scenes that you won't see on your major publications. Okay, I'm here to tell you the truth. Now, all of that information compiled together, here's what I firmly believe is going on and what we have to look forward to over the next 6 months. Okay, with the issuance of CBDCs. The CBDCs, we all know this, that's the one world currency. If you read the report that comes from the Bank of International Settlements, which I also have a link to in the description. But when you read this report, you don't even have to get far into it. But how they describe what the CBDC payment system is going to be, it's a one world currency. What do we know about the one world currency? Well, there's a certain group of people who, run the world, and they're trying to issue that in. We know that. We've known that for years. But thanks to this headline, we know that there's now a shifting in the guard because Mr. Rockefeller, the so-called head of the pyramid, got a price on his head. Now, if that's the case, then the trickle-down effect, the ripple effect, if you will, of this in markets globally, not just in the crypto space. You can imagine that the companies connected to the companies that are connected to the companies that are connected to the cabal, we're going to see some reaction. Okay? We're going to see some reaction. Now, I got some more news coming out this week. I'm going to focus mostly on the alts because it's the alts, not just Ethereum, but the rest of these currencies that's on this list. They're the corporations that are looking to play the opposite role. Because there's definitely a division. There's a split down the middle. Okay? And it starts with Mr. Rockefeller. Now, like I said, I highly urge you to read through this entire thing because the information in it permeates through all industries. because what we're dealing with is drama at the top. The head of the snake is under fire. And it seems like they're using central bank digital currencies to cover up what they have done. And what they have done, it's massive, guys. All that being said, guys, that's all I'm going to give you for this video. If you enjoyed this content and you're interested in global crypto adoption from a global perspective, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, you can always get down at me in the comment section and social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All those links you can find down in the description or at digihustlenews.io. But that being said, guys, I want you to have a great evening and a positive evening. Most importantly, make that money. I'll see you in the next video.